Welcome back into the Gridiron segment, everybody. My name is Kyle. I am joined by Justin and Tonio. We are going to be talking about all things NFL Wildcard Weekend. That and more coming up on the House Call. Welcome back into the Gridiron segment, everybody. My name is Kyle. I am joined by Justin and Tonio. We are going to be talking about the Wild Card Weekend matchups. NFL playoffs are here. It's exciting. Get excited. Before we get into all that, though, I've got to shout out our amazing sponsor at Vivid Seats. Look, some teams' seasons are over, but I have great news. There are more sports, there are more events, and those events need tickets. And where are you going to get those tickets? Oh, I don't know. Maybe just the best ticket buying platform on the market. I'm talking about Vivid Seats. We are talking about the most ridiculous prices. We're talking about guaranteed seats. And if you use the link in our description, you are saving yourself even more money. Thank you to Vivid Seats for sponsoring this episode. Get yourself to Vivid Seats and go sit vividly. Now, I've just been waiting too long to talk about this. The playoffs are here. We finally made it. It's the hunt for the Lombardi Trophy. We've got six teams in each conference squaring off against each other. And now we're going to find out who's going to be upsetting the division winners. Who's going to be, the one taking on that one seed that gets the bye. Let's get right into it. Let's start with the AFC. Number 5 Chargers, number 4 Texans. This is one that is very interesting to me because the Chargers feel so ahead of schedule, just like the Texans did last year. That being said, the Texans just are limping into the playoffs in the worst way. CJ Stroud has not looked like that, rookie sensation quarterback that we saw last year. The defense has been holding it down as much as they can, but offensively, it has just been meh compared to what the expectations were. Justin, I'm going to you first. Give me your thoughts on Chargers and Texans. Chargers looking good, looking always Jim Harbaugh teams look good.
Yeah, I was going to say that when I first thought about it, this matchup, my first thought was watch Houston win because the Chargers are going to charge her like they always do. And something is going to happen that just bumps them out in the first round. And then I had to think about it a second time and realize Harbaugh's the head coach. Harbaugh has a tendency to turn around any program he is a part of, whether you are the Niners, you are the Michigan Wolverines, and now you are the Los Angeles Chargers. So I see it going the complete opposite of what I originally thought. I feel like this Houston Texas team was built off of so much hype, but as you said, they're limping into the playoffs. Their offensive line is not up to par with what they need to be in that conference. So you know what? Give me the Chargers. It's going to be about 20. I'm going to say 28 to 20 at this point for that game.
I like it. No, the Chargers pass rush against what has been a just abysmal offensive line for Houston makes me really worried for CJ Stroud. And the way that Jim Harbaugh emphasized, going after Joe Alt, building up that offensive line for LA. The entire thought process of Houston being able to stay in games because of their defense is because of their pass rush with Will Anderson and Daniel Hunter. And that pass rush allowed, the younger secondary to really flourish. Pass rush helps secondary like nothing else. That being said, you've got such a great offensive line and such a great run scheme with the way Greg Roman is putting it together for LA. I don't think it's a great matchup for Houston at all. Tonio, give me your thoughts on this one. Who is walking out of Houston going on to the next round of the playoffs?
So I was a little indecisive as well. Reason being is because I'm a big Houston fan. I do like rookie quarterbacks. I do like to see them successful. However, I'm a realist. The fact of the matter is CJ Stroud was put on film for the next year, and defensive coordinators, head coaches, GMs were able to kind of prepare for him and get the right schemes for him. And I'm going to be honest, he looks like he's a little gun shy. He had a 4-time Pro Bowler, Laramie Tunsil. 4-time Pro Bowler. This year he has the most penalties for offensive linemen. This year he has 14 total penalties. He has 6 in one game. So not only is their line not successful they've had, the injuries they've had. They finally got Nico Collins back, but they're kind of reminiscent of, remember when Josh Allen was force feeding it to Stephon Diggs? It's it's Nico or bust. Last year, he was kind of spreading the ball around, right? You saw Tank Dell get involved. At first, it looked like Tank Dell was his primary receiver. Then you saw Nico Collins. But you know who has been forgotten? Dalton Schultz. They were successful when they were spreading the ball around. And it was like one-dimensional. And you would have think if they got Joe Mixon, with them having everybody coming back, even if they do have the injuries, they would still utilize their tight end. But for some reason, with him being gun shy and when his line not being as successful as it was in the previous year, he just doesn't look the same. And I'm a fan of him, but I do believe that the Chargers will be successful because, again, like you guys said, Harbaugh is a coach. He's a coach's coach. And everywhere he goes, they're successful. Now, they may not win they don't always win. They luckily won last year in Michigan, but they don't always win. But San Francisco has been successful when he was there. They always got to the chip. And I do believe when it's all said and done, he doesn't allow his quarterbacks to lose him the games. I saw the same thing with JJ. JJ is from actually Illinois. He always has a running game to not let his quarterbacks get too excited about the moment. He slows the game down. He makes the opposing team's quarterback suffer by being on the sideline. So with that being said, I do believe as good as Justin Herbert has looked, I don't think he's going to allow Justin Herbert to get too excited and get too gun happy. He's going to slow the game down. They have J.K. Dobbins back, and they're going to run the ball, and they're going to neutralize the offense that Houston could possibly have. And let's not even talk about the defense that the Chargers are going to have. That's going to be eating. They're going to be chomping at the bit to get to TJ because their offensive line is terrible.
No doubt about it. That pass rush is going to be feasting in Houston's backfield. There's no doubt. And I'm really glad that you brought up the missing Dalton Schultz from this year because a quarterback's best friend needs to be his tight end. Yes, I understand the offensive line is so important, but in terms of the pass catchers, the tight end is so critical because when you get into the playoffs, you're facing great teams. You're not, absolutely blowing out teams where you can just be having fun, emptying out the offensive toy chest, as it were. You need to have those 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, have to have it downs. Go to your tight end. Go to Dalton Schultz. He is a great, guaranteed yardage target that just has not gotten involved. For that reason, I am definitely going with the Chargers as well. I'm going low scoring on this one. What was that?
Oh, no, I was going to piggyback off of that. And you got to think about it. If you look at the playoff picture with all of these teams, they all have good tight ends for their quarterback. Buffalo got Kincaid, and they got Knox, who's not bad at all. You got Kansas City with Travis Kelce. You have Baltimore, who has Mark Andrews.
They have Andrews and Likely. You got Hawkinson. You got so many great tight ends.
I'm still mad at Likely because he was 2 toes away from me winning my week 1 matchup in fantasy. And it was just down.
There's a lot of things that could have changed that with that play. I feel like this season for a lot of teams.
And to piggyback on that, Dallas has missed Dalton Schultz because remember that's where he was, and he was always utilized when Dak didn't have anybody to throw it to. Things slow down in the playoffs, like you guys spoke on, and you have to have someone that's always going to kind of have that rapport with the quarterback to know I can get open, I have the big body, and sometimes receivers don't always have that physicality. But your tight end is going to be able to at least get his hands on the ball or at least get that 5 to 6 yards to make that 3rd down more serviceable. So, yeah.
Games are won and lost on, short yardage passes far more than they are on,
big
his
plays.
missiles getting hucked 30, 40 yards down the field. I say that as a Bears fan who got a loss handed to him and a piss missile hucked 30 or 40 yards down the field. I gotta get out of the funk. We gotta talk about Steelers at Ravens, the rubber match, round 3. This is kind of what we were all hoping for because if there's anything that the Ravens have struggled with historically, it's the Steelers. But they seem to be maybe bucking a trend. They definitely did not look vulnerable against the Steelers the last time that they played. This is going to be, very different vibes on two different sides of the field. You've got a 4-game losing streak for the Steelers coming into this. You got a 4-game winning streak for the Ravens coming into this. Could not have more opposite momentum. Tony, I'm going right to you. Give me your take on this AFC North matchup in the Wild Card weekend.
So I'm a big bet guy, and I don't like the spread. The spread was at 9.5, and I think it's a little disrespectful to Pittsburgh. Yes, they did. The Ravens did blow them out last time, but if everybody forgets, the game turned when Russell Wilson fumbled. The game was within reach for Pittsburgh. When he fumbled, that kind of altered everything. So it's like everybody's just all of a sudden thinking because the Ravens look great, and they do. Don't get me wrong, they do. But it's not like that they were just blowing out Pittsburgh the last 2 games. The first game they lost, and the second game, if Russell Wilson doesn't try to be Lamar Jackson and just slides, they have a chance of scoring, and the game could possibly change because fumbles make a difference, especially when you're going against an high-powered offense and you build confidence. So I do believe the game is going to be close. For me, I think the Ravens will win, but I'm not certain on it because if the Pittsburgh Steelers go back to what they did in the first game and they look at what they didn't do in the second game, I don't see it being this blowout. Now, it wouldn't surprise me because of how good the Ravens are, but I'll say this, and I've been saying this a lot. I'm a Lamar Jackson fan, but what he needs to understand is passing the ball is not what's going to get him to the championship. Run the ball, take your time, and don't try to be one of these guys that you don't have to be. He's a unique guy. He's probably one of the best, if not the best running, passing quarterback we've seen. But you have to go to what you've been able to do since you were 6 years old, and that's run extremely fast. So I do believe they'll win, but I don't think it'll be a 10-point lead as the Vegas has it in betting books.
No, that's very surprising to me to see greater than touchdown margin on a line, which, you know, sometimes you end up with that when you've got like the 8 and 9 division winner from a shitty division hosting a much better wild card team. Those I understand. This isn't really as much the case. You've got the 6 seed and the 3 seed going after it. And for what it's worth, Steelers defense is still doing very good. It's just the offense has not gotten it going. Justin, do they get it going against the Ravens?
No. No. All right. What do we say? Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And Pittsburgh does this every single year. They are good enough to get you into the playoffs. 1, because you have a great head coach. And 2, you have a great defense. That always gets them into the dance. But let's be honest, they always end up getting bumped sooner or later in the playoffs because the offense is just not up to par with where they need to be. And we have noticed it late into the season because in the beginning of the season, we were all looking at the Steelers like, holy shit. Like, they were killing everybody that they played against. Now, late into the season, we got the diva wide receiver acting up again. This time it's George Pickens' turn. Isn't that something we see all the time in Pittsburgh? All the time.
But it's their deal. They can't keep any wide receiver happy.
No. I don't know what it is in the wide receiver room. I don't know what the heck is going on there.
Something's wrong. Something is wrong in the Steelers wide receiver room.
Yep. You have that. Russell Wilson tries too hard. Yeah. You are not the Russell Wilson from back when you were in Seattle in your prime. You are not that person anymore. You stay back in the pocket. If you do got to run, just take whatever you can get, slide. If you're going to pass, just make the right freaking reads. And you know what? I'm not even relying on you. Just don't lose them the game. Just do what you got to do and then let the defense handle the rest. Because if they ever win a game in the playoffs, it's because of the defense.
And let me piggyback on that real fast. When Russell Wilson cooked, Seattle lost. So we actually don't want him to be that Russell at all, even if he was still that guy. When Seattle won is when they ran the ball and they played smash mouth defense. So, like you said, he doesn't need to do too much, and he never has had to. But he, you know, some people have that thing on their chip where they want to be the guy. Remember, Pete Carroll wanted him to be the guy.
Yeah, and how'd that go? Patriots got a Super Bowl because of it.
Exactly. So, I think it's an intriguing game. Now, I'll say this. If I'm not mistaken, Pickens did not play the last time they played against the Ravens as well. Again, and in the beginning of the season, they did have the other Justin that played and they were winning. So is he healthy? Because he makes a difference in their running game when they take out Russell Wilson as well. And he was banged up. So as long as I believe everyone's healthy, I don't think their offense is great anyway. But they do seem to put fear in other opposing defenses because when you can swap out Russell and put in Justin, he's still the running threat that they have with Najee Harris and I can't think of the other running back's name, but those three together, they make things a little better in the red zone versus Russell kind of looks a little scared and a little indecisive because they don't really have as good as Freiermuth is. And like we talked about tight ends, he might be the least favorite tight end in the playoffs. He's kind of just like an old school blocking tight end that may catch a few passes here and there, but they don't really have that possession guy like Plexico Barrows used to be, like even Hines Ward used to be. They don't have that. So because they don't, I feel better if Justin's healthy because when they're in the red zone, they'll fear the three runners out there, the quarterback and the two running backs.
No, Justin's presence complicates things. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of snaps he gets and if that increases later in the game depending on the score.
Absolutely.
Because the Ravens, for what it's worth, have turned it around a little bit on defense, but I still got some questions about their run defense as a whole because Kyle Van Noy is going to get in the backfield and create some pressure. That's a problem for Russell Wilson. I don't see it as much of a problem for Justin Fields, though. So that's going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. That being said, give me the Ravens. I definitely think they're the better team. They've got the better roster. They've got the MVP. They've got the Offensive Player of the Year with Derrick Henry. Actually, no, Saquon's going to be the Offensive Player of the Year. Pretty damn close second place though with Derrick Henry. As long as the Ravens defense does not, what's that?
Third place.
Third place. Who's second? Who's second?
Jamar.
Shit. Oh God, we got to get into this on another
Saquon,
episode.
Jamar.
Those awards
That makes sense.
are so weird because, like, let's be honest, either Saquon or Jamar should have more of a case for MVP, but we could get into that in another episode. I'm taking the Ravens. I'm going to take them by a touchdown here.
They better win. I'll tell you that much. They better win.
Give me 24. Give me 24 to 17. I don't think this is going to be high scoring. I think this game is going to go by fast because of how much the ball is going to get run. And that's my 2 cents. Now let's talk about a game that, you know what? Those Broncos got here. And that deserves celebration. Like, they got to the playoffs in Bo Nix's rookie year. In a year that, realistically was always going to be a rebuild year. They had to kind of blow up a lot of contracts, trade off a lot of players last year and the year before. And there weren't very high expectations for Bo Nix and the Broncos. But here they are, the 7th seed. They have the honor of being thrashed by the Bills on their, hopeful path to the Super Bowl. Justin, how badly are the Broncos getting beat?
Here's my thing. If there was ever a trap game, it's
Don't
this.
say what you're about to say.
No. I still have the Bills winning this.
Thank God.
Because the Bills are my best chance of getting a Super Bowl here in New York. Let's be honest, by a long shot.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
the only New York team.
But you need to tip your cap to what Sean Payton has managed to do with this Broncos team this year. And one, you have the development of Bo Nix, which we didn't think that Bo Nix was going to have the rookie season that he has. Because not this fast. And if it wasn't for the fact that Drake May had very limited playing time this season, I say Bo Nix was the second most successful rookie quarterback this year.
Oh, easily.
Behind Jaden Daniels. So, you know what? That being said, I have the Bills winning this. The Bills offense has been insane, just putting up 35 plus points on everybody's head almost at this point. Running game with Cook, always going to be A1. I didn't expect it to go this way where Josh Allen did not have to be Superman week in and week out. Because now he does not have to be that.
Yeah.
He could just run the ball the entire time. Keep that offense off the field for the Broncos. The problem is the Broncos defense is not a defense that you need to overlook, because they got some pass rushers there too. They're going to make that pocket very uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So
what Lance Joseph has done with that defensive front is so cool. Like, legit. Like, I just geek out looking at the way that he brings different pressures and from different angles and sides of the ball. Golly.
So if we're saying that, it's not going to be like a blowout in the other two games that we just talked about, this is going to be close. And I say less than 7 points close. Because then we got to start looking at the Broncos next year, depending on what they do in the offseason. And they could be contenders for the division. Are they going to win the division? Probably not. But they will contend for it.
That's what we can only hope for. Is a little bit of interdivisional kryptonite for a certain team to get weakened slowly but surely. That's all we can hope for. Tonio, what's your take on this? How are the Broncos a big threat to the Bills?
I'm scared of this game. I'm a big Buffalo fan. I've always been, the Jim Kelly years. You get to Super Bowl 4 times and, wins. It's funny, nobody ever talks about them, and it's hard to get to a Super Bowl, yet alone 4 times. But I've always been a Buffalo fan. They just never do what they need to do now. Josh Allen is a different type of animal. He's like a new version of Ben Roethlisberger, but you have to be careful with his defense. It's a reason why that front can do what they do, because of the rookie Bonito that came out of nowhere and Patrick Surtain. He's the guy. I used to argue with one of my buddies that it was Sauce Gardner. Nah, it's not. It's Patrick Surtain.
Patrick Surtain literally erases an entire half of the field.
He's the guy. I mean, it is what it is. And I'll say this. Bo Nix, be careful now, because, I took a look at the statistics on him and Jade, and they're very close. I think Jade's a favorite because we didn't expect anything from Washington, but we knew that Denver always had a good defense. Bo Nix has 29 total TDs and 12 interceptions. Jaden Daniels has 25 and 9. So it's close, extremely close. So I wouldn't just brush him off and just assume that because he's a rookie that he'll play like a rookie, because as good as Buffalo's defense has shown up, I think there's still higher expectations with them than they have shown. I would say they have shown greater expectation than we all expected. I would say that. So I hope it shows up in the playoffs, because I have high hopes for them. But honestly, I think they need to be careful, because what you don't want to do is give a rookie confidence and a great defense confidence, because you're no-name receivers, because let's call it what it is. Buffalo has a plethora of no-name receivers with the exception of Cooper, who really is kind of a no-namer at his state now. And if they decide to show up, it could be a long day for Josh. And he's another one, just like Lamar Jackson. You better not lose your first game. You better not lose.
Can we just say, and I know that they're not going to do this when they do the NFL awards, whichever rookie quarterback makes it further in the playoffs should get the award.
Exactly. It's either give it to him before the playoffs start or give it to him whoever makes it the furthest. I've always said that.
We're going to find out. And what's interesting about the Commanders matchup is they're on the other side of they may not be that good on paper, but you don't want any of this smoke, because the Buccaneers, you don't really want any of that right now. Let's get into the NFC a little bit. I'm going with the Bills on this one. It's going to be close. I do think it is going to be close. As good of a job as the Bills' offensive line has done recently with keeping Josh upright, keeping him clean, making sure he doesn't have as much pressure, and as much as Josh alleviates with his legs, on top of that, there has got to be some credit given to Denver's defense and Denver's pass rush. They're getting after the quarterback in really unique ways. They're frustrating good offensive lines, and I think that's going to continue. Give me the Bills. Let's go 27. Let's go 27-24. It's going to be a close one. This one's going to be. That's honestly as far of a spread as I would expect. Is a 3-point spread. It's probably going to be a 1-point game. Now on to the NFC. necessarily thrilled to talk about this because, you know how it goes. Justin, I know you're not all.
I was about to say who
thrilled either. Go ahead and say what I don't want to hear.
Enlighten me.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this. And first off, I hate the color hoodie I have on now, having to talk about this.
We're both for ourselves.
Yeah, but you got the whole like shaggy dude look going on right now. But anyways, I had to sit there a couple of months back in MetLife Stadium in a little seat on the third level, sick as a dog, and I still pulled my ass out there to go to Jersey and watch the Eagles demolish my Giants to the point that Saquon didn't even have to play the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
that's how bad it was.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I feel like we're gonna have to see that in this game too, because I just can't see Philadelphia not getting to the divisional round. And unfortunately, I expect them to go to the championship as well. So there's my spoiler alert for the next episode after we get through all this wildcard stuff. They're going to win. They're going to win convincingly because of their offensive line and because of their running back. And they are not going to win because of Jalen Hurts. They don't have to win because of Jalen Hurts. They can win this game just by doing the same thing they always did. We're going to run the ball. We're going to pass it when we have to. Yeah, our receivers are going to get theirs. And, if we get to 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, we're just going to push our way through everything and just keep that clock rolling. So, I'm sorry to all the cheeseheads out there. It was lasted, but I'll see y'all next season.
That's what I like to hear. I don't think anything's stopping the Eagles' offense. Great. You have Xavier McKinney. You're getting so many interceptions. You know what a great safety is going to be able to do against that offensive line and Saquon Barkley? Assist with run tackling, because Saquon is getting into the secondary. That's all Xavier McKinney is going to be up to is doing run support because of how much Saquon is going to be tearing past the defensive line and linebackers of Green Bay. I don't have a lot of faith. I quite honestly don't, because every time the Packers have had to face a good team, they folded. They really have. They have beaten up on bad teams all over the place. Don't get it twisted. They're 1-5 in the NFC North, just like the Bears. Congratulations. Tonio, give me your thoughts on this.
Oh wait, can I make one joke before Tonio goes?
Yes.
Speaking of that run support with McKinney, listen, I just want to see it mic'd up because I'm expecting McKinney to hit Saquon one time. They're gonna dap each other up and be like, "At least we're not in the Giants."
Hey, we got out. We got out.
I still don't know why they didn't let him play for a half to try to beat the record, but it is what it is. I know injuries, but it would have been cool. Almost like destined, right? He plays against the Giants.
Have you seen that MetLife turf?
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust it either.
Ooh, that's true.
Isn't that like karma almost? You go against the Giants, you break the all-time rushing record. Oh,
yes, but no record is worth, an ankle injury, an ACL injury.
I agree.
He is the Eagles' offense.
I agree totally. It's just you want to see someone beat it eventually, right? But yeah.
Yes, I would not have minded Saquon getting that record.
Yeah, but to get to the game, well, number one, Jordan Love is having issues. His elbow. Got that information. I think Watson is out for the season. So, if I'm not mistaken, he can't catch worth a damn. Sorry, it is what it is. Watson, as fast as he is, he drops anything in his hand. He'll drop his plate if it's too hot. It's ridiculous. So I think he's out. I think Jordan Love's still having an elbow issue. And again, I agree. For as good as Green Bay is, honestly, I'm from Chicago, but I'm a Packers fan, and I was a Packers fan because of Aaron Rodgers. So I'm kind of still a Packers fan, but not really, but a little bit. But either way, they don't have a chance. It is what it is. They are an up-and-coming team. They have a bunch of young wide receivers. It's kind of similar to Pittsburgh, but they don't have a primary at all. They just have a bunch of speedy guys who make good plays. Reed is pretty good, but they don't have that guy. Like, they don't have that go-to guy, even at the tight end position, to say, take me there. Josh Jacobs was a great acquisition for them because that's what they needed. As good as Aaron Jones is out of the backfield, he's a better pass-catching running back than a smash-mouth running back, and that's what helped Green Bay win the championship when they did. The championships when they did. They had a hard-running running back. And as good as Josh has been, and as good as the team offense has looked, you've seen the hiccups. You've seen Jordan Love make the mistakes that everybody thought he wouldn't make. And you've seen mostly that when it came down to needing plays, they didn't have that guy. You can't rely on Josh Jacobs forever when you got a high-powered offense in Minnesota. You got a high-powered offense in Detroit. Even the Bears, for Christ's sake, when they need to do what they need to do, have a high-powered offense, they just don't have the right personnel. I mean, on the coaching side. They don't have what they need in order to be successful. So this will be a good test for them because I think they overachieved last year. They won. But they still have some things to sort out. And if they're limping into the playoffs against the Philadelphia team who, again, don't really need Jalen Hurts, which is good for him, seeing that he's still trying to figure out this concussion thing, I think this will be an easy game for him. It's just unfortunate that Green Bay, as good as they look, they're not there yet. And they probably won't be for about another few years. But Philly has a chance of going far. We'll see what the next round holds, though. We'll see.
Oh, yeah. I think that regardless of whatever Philly does, all roads are leading to Detroit for the NFC. That's the big. I don't even think the Eagles are the biggest threat to Detroit of these wildcard teams. I honestly don't. I think that's weirdly enough Tampa, because Tampa is just kind of scrappy and gritty like that. They can match that level of intensity that Detroit has.
Okay.
But I'll keep this one short and sweet. EAGLES. Eagles. They're going to absolutely smack the Packers around. I think that Jalen Carter, Zach Bond, and the defensive line over in Philly is going to have themselves a day. Nakobe Dean is going to be harassing Josh Jacobs, and there is not going to be a whole lot of defensive answers that the Packers are going to have for Saquon, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Hurts. Like, that is just too much to deal with the amount of talent that they have. They're a very good group. They're a very solid defense. They're just not up to this test. Let's talk about another team that might be, getting put to the test in a way that they might not have. The Commanders going in as the 6th seed after narrowly beating Trey Lance's Cowboys. And the Packers lost to the Bears to go into the 7th seed. Shout out. That was fun. That was a good time. It was a 50-yard field goal. You really think I was sitting there watching that game as a Bears fan going, oh, yeah, we're going to end this with a win? I was like, how's this going to get messed up? I had to, stare at my TV for about a minute and be like, they're saying that we won. I'm confused. This doesn't compute. It's the 2024 Chicago Bears, but it happened. And now the Commanders get the benefit of facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which may not actually be a benefit in the end. Tonio, Commanders at Bucs, who you got?
So this is a tricky one. I think the fan in us all want to see Jaden succeed, but for some reason, everybody forgets how good Baker Mayfield is. Baker Mayfield is what you call a football player. I think he could have played in any era. That's how good I think he is. Now, he's not going to blow you away. He's exciting, I think, when you play with him, but I think if you play against him, he kind of irritates you. But that's what I think most old school football players want. It's either you love them or you hate them. And I do believe this could be a trick game for either team. If they go into the game, I think Washington complacent, they'll lose badly. Because even though the Bucs don't have their weapons, because I do believe if they had Godwin, it would be a runaway. But if Washington goes into the game and believes that they have the talent, because they're probably more talented on the offensive side as of right now, if they overlook Baker Mayfield, they'll lose. So it's kind of a pick-em game for me, but I would suggest that Washington will win because of the talent. Not because of anything else, because of the talent on their side. That's what I believe.
Truthfully, this is going to be my favorite game to watch for Wildcard Weekend. I'm most excited for Commanders at Bucs because it's the game that I honestly don't have a strong opinion about which way that it's going. I could see either team winning this game. because Jaden Daniels has shown that he is able to come through in those clutch time moments when he needs to. He's had a great rookie season, and it really is fun to see, the kind of progression of, okay, quarterbacks are trying to rush into the league, trying to get that, that payday. Now you have like the 5-year starters like Jaden Daniels, like Bo Nix, that are getting more experience before they go into the league. And it's clearly benefiting them because those two quarterbacks that I just mentioned are in the playoffs. They're doing great, and they had great rookie seasons. Justin, give me your take on this one, Commanders or Bucks?
As a Giants fan, I hate to say this.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, the Bucks are going to win this.
Yeah.
You would have thought that I was going to say that both NFC East teams were going to win their playoff games.
That would have broke you.
That would have broke my heart. But anyways, I'm also very much a Baker Mayfield fan. And I want to see Baker just kill Washington. Washington Commanders is probably the only NFC East team that I personally don't have any beef with. I have personal trouble with Philly, and I have personal trouble with Dallas. Don't really have anything for Washington. So hats off to y'all. You had a great first season. Great thing that you got rid of that ownership when you did. Yeah, but you're not going to go further than this. Congratulations. Take your wins. Go into next season where you're going to destroy us for another 2 games next year. But this time around, it is going to go to the Bucks. And you know what's crazy? It's not even just going to be because of Baker. It won't be because of the running back behind him in Bucky, who broke out this season because nobody knew his name until like the beginning of the season when he started running up and down the field on everybody.
Agreed.
So if there's really an X factor for this game, it's going to be the running game.
So good. That's the big thing for me because I don't have any faith in Washington's run defense. Like I think they've got a few good secondary pieces. That's about it. They still need a corner desperately. They don't really have any pass rush at all. I think Baker's going to have all the time in the world to throw the ball, and when you give all the time in the world for Mike Evans to get open, Mike Evans is going to get open. I'm going with the Bucks on this. I can definitely see the Commanders doing it, but I'm going just purely off of vibes. Baker Mayfield, like you said, Tony, a football guy, and I'm going with a football guy in Baker Mayfield.
Almost switched me. Yeah, because I forgot about Bucky, man. Bucky has been amazing this year.
So good. Oh my gosh, what a treat he has been running the football. Let's talk about the Vikings and the Rams. This is another weird one. This is the Vikings get right game because they've been known they've been going to the playoffs. They've been planning this for a while, but they kind of weren't expecting to play this week. I don't think they were hoping that they could clinch up that number 1 seed, and then Sam Darnold's kind of had a Sam Darnold game. He was seeing ghosts again and not playing his best ball against Detroit at all. If there's a team that you can potentially have a get right game against, it's a very young Rams defense. It's a very young Rams defense. They've got some good pieces. Jared Verse has been a treat. He's going to be the defensive rookie of the year, in my opinion, unless it goes to one of the 2 corners for the Eagles. The only problem is that corner metrics are a lot harder to, gather than edge metrics. It's just the nature of the positions. But they're still a very young unit. They're still reeling from the loss of an all-generation, all-time player in Aaron Donald. And the Vikings have a really great opportunity here to have a get-right game and win on the road against the Rams. Justin, who's winning in SoFi?
The Rams. I'm going with the trap.
Ooh,
I'm going with the trap on this one because the Vikings came out this season, specifically Sam Darnold came out this season and just shocked everybody. But over the course of the tail end of the regular season, you kind of saw them fizzle out just a little bit. And yet they're still going to go into the playoffs. They're going in as the number 5 seed because they couldn't handle business against Detroit to become the number 1 seed. And they're going to be facing a young, yes, but very hungry Rams team that on offensive side of the ball, it's going to be a fun chess match between their offense and the Vikings defense. That's really what's going to determine how this game goes. And I think on the opposite end, when you go Rams defense against that explosive Vikings offense, feel like Jared Verse is going to have that game where he's going to have Sam Darnold seeing ghosts. It's going to be the breakout game. And then we're going to be talking about Jared Verse in the next 5-10 years being another one of those great Rams pass rushers. He ain't going to be Aaron Donald level, but he is going to be up there with the rest of them. And you're going to go, and we're going to see the Minnesota Vikings go into this offseason wondering what are they going to do about quarterback. Because it's been a treat to watch that last week, and we're going to go through the entire offseason wondering what they're going to do.
If Sam doesn't look good, that throws a real big wrench in the Vikings' whole offseason, because it started to look like, okay, you deal J.J. McCarthy, you could maybe get a premium draft pick for him, and you have a verifiable starting quarterback, as opposed to taking a risk on somebody who hasn't had a single NFL start. Ooh,
that Lions game.
That Lions game wasn't pretty.
And then you also got Daniel Jones on your practice squad.
Oh,
there was some Vikings fan page that I saw where they were like commenting, "Let Daniel Jones start. He has playoff experience." And I'm like, okay, that's wild. I would honestly be
the same result will happen. The Vikings will lose.
That's exactly what will happen. I would have more confidence if they like tried to wheel J.J. McCarthy out there and try to win the game instead. Like that's the level of confidence that I don't have in Daniel Jones. Tonio, should the Vikings start Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones shouldn't see a field unless it's urgent. So I was going to pick the Rams as well. Here's the thing. People forget how good of an offense they are because of the injuries they've had. But you get Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams. You can argue those three are one of the best tandems in the NFL. And I think there's going to be a problem. Now, here's the thing. I kind of disagree with you guys as far as the Sam Darnold. Now, unless he goes out there and plays a horrible game, throws 2 or 3 picks, 120 yards, overthrowing Justin like he did the last game. Then you could have an argument, but it's something to be said about a guy who has a rapport with your receiver. And he has a rapport with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And I'm a big believer in this as well. And the NBA has a problem when they do this, because I talk about the NBA. You have to give things time, right? 1 year, he made a difference. 1 year, they lost 3 games, regardless of how they kind of fell off. They still only lost 3 games. They were fighting to get the number 1 seed, regardless of how bad Sam looked at times, regardless of how sometimes he overthrew it. But they still were fighting to be the number 1 team. That goes a long way in a long 17-game NFL season. The problem I have with JJ is, and I'm familiar with him, who's to say he's going to be great? You don't know. You have to go on what you have now and what you see now. Sam is young. He's seasoned. He probably won't require the max because I think he's happy being there because they gave him a chance. And you build off that. If JJ gets there, he just came off an injury. He gets hurt. He doesn't have the rapport. What happens now? Now, let's say Sam goes and he plays bad. You basically broke up something that could have been beautiful because you had a rookie that you were unsure of, but because you drafted him high, you had to go with that. And I think GMs struggle with that. You have to go on what you see right now. What you see right now is a team that was fighting to win the number 1 seed in the NFC when we didn't think Sam Darnold was going to do anything, and he wasn't supposed to start.
This was supposed to be a bridge season.
A bridge season. And they have a great defense. So you build off that. Again, even if he does have a subpar game, you're losing to Matthew Stafford. Most quarterbacks says he's one of the best throwers of the ball ever. There's no slouch in losing to him. Now, it's going to be upsetting if they do, but I'm happy. I'm happy for the next season. I'm happy that we got our nucleus back. Aaron Jones looks good. I think they got Cam Akers. He's been a journeyman. He looks good. And not to mention, Hawkinson, Justin, and Addison. You go forward with that. You don't go backward by saying, okay, well, we think we should keep JJ. Hopefully he'll be as good as Sam, because let's think about it now. That's the ceiling. He has to do better than Sam Darnold. He has to win. He has to lose 3 games. That's insane. So I do think the Rams will win, but I'll tell you this. We know Stafford gets hurt a lot. If that defense gets to Stafford and he gets any injuries, it's going to be a problem, because as good as he is one of the most fragile quarterbacks that has ever been in the NFL, and he's a great thrower of the ball. But when he gets dinged up, he gets dinged up. So I think it'll be a close game. And if it's decided by a field goal, that's when I see the Rams winning. I think Minnesota has to take off right away, and they have to play from ahead, so that way that vaunted defense that they have can hunt. Because if you can hunt if you can hunt Stafford, then you can win. If you sit back and let him do what he do, he'll tear you apart. And that's how it's always been.
Yeah. So the Rams are getting healthy at the right time. They got, Puka, they got Cooper. Stafford's back. They're players that they need to be healthy to win this game are back. They have a better coach, in my opinion. I think Sean McVay is a better coach than Kevin O'Connell. That's not really a hot take. They have the playoff experience. That being said, give me the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to win. I think the Vikings are going to win this game, because I think that the Detroit game was a little bit of a wake-up call for them. I think that they started, drinking their own Kool-Aid just a little bit with the win streak and with blowing teams out, and they got exposed by the Vikings. And I think that Kevin O'Connell's a really great coach in that he adjusts, and he will take a look at that tape and make those changes that need to happen in order for them to have some level of success. And I think they're going to have a lot of success against the Rams. They've not been very good on defense in terms of protecting against the pass. And if Justin Jefferson's open, Sam Darnold's going to be able to hit him, because he's been doing that on a fairly regular basis this year. I'm not going to take as much from that Detroit game as some other people might, because more of this season has shown me that Sam Darnold is a good quarterback than Sam Darnold is a bad quarterback. Give me the Vikings. Give me the Vikings by
We should also add for this game, there is still the potential that it's going to be moved to a neutral site because of the wildfires that's going on in California. So the NFL made a statement that if needed, the game's going to be moved to Arizona.
Also, although most Rams fans don't show up and it'd be the opposing players' fans anyway. So
it's an LA game. There's no home field advantage. That doesn't exist at SoFi. I'm gonna be honest. There's no home field advantage at SoFi.
Yeah.
So all I'm hearing is there's a bunch of Cardinals fans that's going to be there.
There's barely football fans in Los Angeles.
There you go.
Any last thoughts, gentlemen, before we get out of here?
Nope.
Right on.
Be prepared for a good first week. And I do believe, as much as we predicted, something's going to happen that's going to make us say, what the hell? There's
going to be some kind of weird – there always is on Wildcard Weekend. The only Wildcard Weekend that went exactly the way I thought it was 2021. That Wildcard Weekend, I got every single prediction down to the T. So that beyond that, everything else, it's called Wildcard Weekend for a reason.
Somebody's going to lose based on a field goal. Either they're going to make a ridiculous one, or
more than one team's going to lose off a field goal. There's going to be more than one team losing off of a field goal. It's the playoffs. Like this is the best that the league has to offer. I say, as there is quite literally the 7 seed Broncos just kind of doping their way in. I'm so proud of them. So proud of them. Make sure you're following on all platforms. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us out so much. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok, Facebook, Reels. I'm sure there's other social media platforms that I'm not aware of that I'm missing right now. But we're on it. House Call Sports, Gridiron. Make sure you're tuned in. We just have fun, chop it up, talk about sports. Until the next time, that's Justin. That's Tonio. My name is Kyle. Peace.